One thing in common between all of us in this room today is that we all face hardships. Whether we faced them in the past or we will face them in the future, every single one of us has faced some sort of hardship. And this is not limited to everyone in this room today, but everyone who's ever existed has faced a hardship in their lifetime. Now, a hardship might sound like a huge word that has a catastrophic negative impact on someone's life. But for the purpose of this talk, I want you to think of a hardship as any small or big stress-causing event, any type of pressure that someone may face in their lifetime. Now, these hardships, they may seem as roadblocks in our life, roadblocks on the path to happiness, the happiness that we so much crave, the homeostasis, the peace that our physical body, but also our mental state is always starving for. Now, these roadblocks, for me, when I was about 7 to 8 years old, was my family's financial condition. Despite having a place to stay, food to eat, school to attend, I wasn't always able to buy the things that I wanted. I wasn't always able to go on the vacations that I wanted, go to see the things that I wanted to. And this truly had a negative impact on me. Now, living in a place like Dubai, you can only imagine that that didn't help. 24/7, I was surrounded by attractions, grand malls, things to do. All these things put a fake smile on my face, while truly saddening me that I couldn't indulge in them. Many times, I would find myself comparing myself with the other kids in my school, and this would only bring me down, deeper down. Now, one specific situation that I can remember that really pushed me over the brink and brought this issue to my dad was when I was teased for the shoes that I wore to school. Now, the shoes that I wore to school were completely fine. Maybe they weren't the most expensive shoes, and maybe they were ripped up a little bit, they weren't in the best condition. The kids in my school thought it was okay to bully me and tease me for this reason. Their shoes looked different. So for 4 to 5 days, I was teased, called names, and obviously moving from India to Dubai, I also had an Indian accent, so that was kind of coupled in with it. And I was bullied for about 4 to 5 days. And after those 5 days, I went home and I just exploded. I cried in front of my dad and I told him that all the names that they had been calling me, all the issues, how I've never gotten anything that I wanted, and how I hated everything. My dad paused for a second and he said, "Tomorrow, let's go to the store and let's buy the most expensive pair of shoes. Let's buy as many as you want and no questions asked. But I want you to think of one thing. Do you want these shoes?" Well, of course I wanted them. That's why I was talking to you. But after thinking about it for a minute, I didn't really want those shoes. I simply wanted to escape that social pressure. So I told this to my dad and he smiled and said, "That's the perspective I want you to look at. That you buying these shoes is you just giving into that social pressure." However, the resilient person would face this issue head on, face this hardship head on, and grow from it, improve from it. Now, I had never heard of this before. In my whole life, I always thought, well, a hardship, how do you get rid of it? However, my father was talking about how to use that hardship to grow. From his mentorship, I was not able to overcome that mini hardship that I was facing when I was 8, but also grow from it. So this idea of growing from hardship is called anti-fragility. To explain the meaning of anti-fragility, a common example is the human body's muscular system. The more pressure and stress you put on your muscles, the more stronger and robust it will grow. It's obvious. But this is the same mentality we want to keep in the hardships that we face in life and how we can bounce back from them. Well, how can we be anti-fragile? Well, the first step to anti-fragility is to accept the situation. Many times when we face a hardship, we tend to go into this mode called denial. I'm sure you've heard of this before, but we don't like to accept that we are facing that hardship. We kind of just keep pushing it on and on and on and pushing it off. However, the first key step is to acknowledge that, okay, I am facing the hardship. What is the best move I can make from this point on? Which is why this is the first step. The second step is to control your reaction. When you're in a hardship, it may be too late to go back in time and change the whole situation you're in. You may have no control over what's going on around you. but you can control one thing. It's how it impacts you. How do you react to that situation that you're facing? How do you react to that hardship? Many times we fall into these negative thinking patterns, which I did in my example, but this is not the right mentality, and which is why it's so crucial to control your reaction to be anti-fragile. The third step is to be grateful. Now, this is not a direct correlation with being anti-fragile, but it's very crucial in the sense that it makes the problem less intimidating. No matter what hardship you're facing, when you're able to focus on all the things that are positive in your life, this hardship gets smaller and smaller and smaller and less intimidating. And the less intimidating it is, the easier it is to overcome and the easier it is to learn from, to grow from. And that brings us to our fourth point, growth opportunity. From the 17 years that I've been alive, I truly believe that any social pressure, stress that you put yourself into or you are put into by certain situations always has a hidden treasure behind it. Some lesson to be learned, some opportunity behind it. For example, one of my older friends recently lost his job. Now, losing a job this early in your career can probably be a roller coaster of emotions and be a real life hardship. But he was able to structure that stress, use that stress to grow, to learn new things regarding his career, explore new career pathways. And he actually ended up just recently getting a more senior position and a job that he's more compatible with and he has more fun doing. So that hardship that seemed so intimidating now helped him grow. And these are the growth opportunities. So how did I grow from my example that I gave earlier? Well, the first thing that I'm truly grateful for is that I was able to find happiness outside of materialistic things. Realizing and accepting the situation that, okay, I won't be able to get everything that I want. I understand that my family's in a certain position. Even now, after being in a well and good financial condition, I'm able to find happiness outside of just materialistic objects. I see many peers even today who are depressed or truly sad because they aren't able to get those certain things. And they will deal with those downs their whole life. However, when I face such down, I'm able to bounce back from it because of my anti-fragile mentality all the way when I was 8 years old. The second thing that I learned was the difference between needs and wants. Many times when we go shopping, we kind of lose this difference and we start buying things we want more than the things we need. But this isn't just about me being a smarter buyer, also about the actions that I take. In this prime age, many times I see peers giving into their wants, doing that thing that gives them gratitude right now, and not looking at what's important for their long-term future. So our life is full of these ups and downs that I've been mentioning throughout this whole talk. But sometimes people are caught in a cycle called a rut, where they've lived the same life over and over and over again. And they think, I'll just do whatever everyone around me does. I'll just avoid this stress, avoid these pressures, avoid this hardship, avoid any new opportunity that causes unnecessary stress. But growth lies within stress. Such unresilient mentality will never spark growth, which is why it's crucial to implement these 4 steps and chase that stress, chase opportunities, chase hardships, as they may be a hidden opportunity for you to grow. I want to end off with this one quote that's one sentence, and it can summarize my whole TED Talk up. So if you don't take away one thing from my talk today, please take this one thing. Things do not necessarily happen for the best. Many times in your life, you may be put in situations that are just not the right time for, that you just can't deal with, that negatively impact your mental, sometimes even physical health. It will happen. I can almost guarantee you that. But you can choose to make the best of things that happen. You can choose to accept the situation. You can choose to control your reaction. You can choose to grow. You can choose to thrive. Thrive in hardship. Thank you.